realized that like something was wrong, and I like looked up and you were staring at me. I'm like, did I snore? Like that was my whole thought process. Wait, last towards Andrew.
I was about to say I have quite a bit of space over here. I have
that's good.
a good lean on before I'm out of the screen.
A lean on?
Seriously, look how far I can lean before I'm off the screen here.
I mean, that's impressive.
I'm literally like a foot off this freaking stool.
Good for you, Andrew. I'm proud of you, Andrew.
Really?
Yeah.
You gonna condescend me to shit and
No, I am proud of you, Andrew. Am I not allowed to be proud with you? All right.
You're allowed to be proud of me.
All right. Well, that being said, welcome to episode 12. 13. We're on 13. I always get it off.
Yeah,
by
we're on 13 now,
episode
buddy.
13.
We are on episode 13.
The Getsuga Talk Show.
So what the hell are we talking about today?
Well, we got to do the little... It's Mitch with my buddy Andrew. And then we're joined by Corinne. Ron was going to come today, but I guess he was tired, but then he decided to clean. I don't know how that one works.
That?
Me.
Rather clean than watch anime?
I know, he's a little weird.
Yeah.
But for some reason, we all love him, so... I gotta fix that later.
That's all. Say,
You don't love Ron?
I love Ron like I love my cousins.
I don't know what
like
that means.
To you?
Are you talking like Southern Lovin', or are you talking like...
I'm like talking distant cousin I hardly get to talk to or ever see.
That's fair enough.
Because really, me and Ron don't talk that much. We say a couple of things. How you doing? How things going?
You know, we could have talked to Ron a lot last night, but motherfucker's on his phone the whole time.
Yeah, no.
Just saying.
That man is...
We had our game night. We had a great conversation. We were talking about politics, religion, like where we would live, all this stuff, and then he's just over there.
Antisocial motherfucker.
Gosh. He got so upset last night about talking about living near the ocean.
Why?
He said he wants to live here with his family. He's like, you guys can't try to peer pressure me into...
We weren't actually like, Ron, go. It was like a joking conversation. I didn't know you'd actually get upset about that. That's wild.
No, that's normal. It's
that's
okay.
wild, dude. No, we were just like, I don't know. I want to live near the ocean, but that's just me. But
I do too.
Anyways.
I'm scared to death of drowning, so...
Yeah, so am I.
I can't really
Horrifying.
do the ocean.
I think I use that word a lot. Way too much, probably. I need a new word for being scared.
Try terrifying.
But it's the same thing. I think I use terrifying, too. I use horrifying and terrifying a lot. I need, like, a good, like...
Horrifying, terrifying.
I need a good, like, word that'll increase my vernacular. That'll make me sound a lot smarter. You know, I need, like, a...
I know morose is, like...
Never even heard of that word.
Depressingly sad, basically.
That is not the way I feel about it.
That's also kind of like melancholy.
Shaking in my jimmies. Anyway, so today, this is an anime podcast, so we're going to talk about anime while Andrew Silvernipple over here laughs a lot. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever heard me say that. I call him Andrew Silvernipple a lot. It's just, it works. I like it. Anyways, we were going to do the Isekai conversation today. We're going to talk about... I couldn't come up with a catchy title for Isekai, like an Isekai, like, you know, a show name. Couldn't come up with it. But we're going to talk about Sword Art Online, Log Horizon, Grimgar, Rising of a Shield Hero, Slime. What else? There's a lot.
In another world with my smartphone.
No. It's terrible. Have you heard of it? Have you watched that?
I haven't.
Oh my god. Have you at least heard of it?
No.
It was on Hulu, and I saw it, and I was like, no. So, like, doesn't his smartphone have, like, powers or something?
The premise of the story, basic breakdown, accidentally gets killed by God, is sent to another world. His only request in recompense for being accidentally killed by God is that he's allowed to take his cellular phone with him to the next world.
That's so stupid.
Does it work?
Yeah, it's charged off of magic, because this next world he gets sent to is... everything works through magic. So it basically gets turned into a magic item.
That's really
Maybe
stupid.
I did watch that.
And
really?
Maybe. I think Ronnie might have.
Oh.
Okay, so there's one with something kind of similar off the start, and it's called ReZero. And he has a cell phone, and he ends up selling it off as a magic item.
Yeah.
But it's not really a magic item. It just takes photos, and they're like...
I've seen that one too.
Yeah, ReZero's good. It started really strong and ended a little poor, but it started really strong.
I haven't seen the ending.
ReZero
really?
is strange.
I was really hyped on the show when it first came out. I think like the first 3/4 of it, I was like, this show's fucking good. You know, I'm into this. Like, it's getting dark. He's getting fucking crazy. This is cool. And then the ending was just a little, but
he lost his ever the fucking shit
Yeah.
multiple times.
Yeah. I don't blame him.
Oh, the terrible fucking
Yeah,
shit that
because it's
happened.
not like a superpower. You're actually just suffering, and then you wake up and you're like, oh my god.
That just
Please
happened.
no.
And then you have to re-explain yourself to all the people you know, and they have no clue who you are.
Yeah, and sometimes he's going back like a week at a time, and you're just like, fuck, dude.
That last time he went back like a month.
Yeah, with the whole whale incident, yeah,
Yeah.
he kept disappearing and going back like a whole month. I don't remember what I was going to go grab, but I'm going to walk away because I feel like I was going to grab something. And I'll probably remember as I leave the room, so I'll be back.
Yeah, he ends up going back a whole month for the last
my
jump.
gosh.
Actually, he ends up doing the jump multiple times because he keeps dying at like this one spot because he keeps overlooking just
The obvious.
the really obvious point that we probably all figured out early on.
Oh, and he keeps having to die these
I assume it was a hat, so I'm grabbing a hat.
gruesome death.
Oh yeah, he always dies in the most gruesome, fucked up. What was the
What was
first?
the worst one?
I don't know. One of the first.
I think the
ones-
worst one. Just sorry, I know I'm really bad. I cut people off. So I think my worst one was when he like first met Betelgeuse, and not the first time, but like one of the first times when he gets pulled into the fucking chamber and he's like torturing him, and then Rem's dying in front of him, and she's like crawling
and he can't do
and
shit.
crawling to him, and then like gets him out of the chains, and he's like, that's horrible. Like he just watched her like use the last of any of her energy to like save him and shit. That's
Oh
horrifying.
yeah, and then he walks.
Again, overusing this word. Give me something else. Shaking in my jimmies doesn't work there. That doesn't have me shaking in my jimmies. That's just terrible. I don't want to experience that. I'm going to make that a part of my vocabulary. I hope you know. I'm going to start saying it. I'm going to just like walk around like,
Shit.
man, that really had me shaking in my jimmies.
What the hell is
We'll be in the middle of a scary movie or something.
the hell is wrong with you?
Come on, that's a good phrase.
No, it's
You
terrible.
can't hate a guy who says shaking in my jimmies. Like,
Can I lose respect for him?
sure, you're welcome to do that.
All right.
Are you going to look up a word or something for me? Okay, I appreciate
All
that.
right. Anyway, yeah, no. But yeah, no.
Worst death, sorry.
Worst death in ReZero. It'd have to be one of his first ones, where he shows up and tries to save you, ends up getting gutted by the assassin chick in the shop. Because that one wasn't even fast. That's just blade across the intestines. Oh, watch, I'm gonna bleed to
And he
death
watches
now.
everyone else bleed out, and he's realizing, like, oh shit.
Yeah. Or what's another really when he's beaten to death by Rem in the forest. Just straight up Morning Star ball and chain, just getting beat
I think
to
one of the
death.
most, not scary or like impactful or like in that sense, like the worst, but like one of the most interesting deaths is when I can't remember the fucking name, but when the spirit fucking kills him. You know what I'm talking about? Have you seen that far yet?
I don't think I have.
I don't want to spoil anything too much, but like, do you know what I'm talking about?
I think so,
And it's
yeah.
like a whole cinematic ending and shit,
Yeah.
and then his head just falls off, and you're like,
Oh yeah, when he
you know, what I'm
walks.
yeah.
It's-
You can't say anything because she hasn't. You gotta finish it.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Damn it! That one is a good one.
There's
That was pretty good.
petrifying.
Petrifying, but I feel like I'm gonna start saying electrifying and start singing some Grease.
There's alarming, appalling, daunting.
Daunting. I like daunting.
Daunting.
It's a daunting task. It feels a little more prim and proper, I guess we can say that. All right. Okay. So I've expanded my vocabulary for the day. So I don't really know how I wanted to go about talking about this. I just figured we can talk about isekais, what makes them good, what makes them bad, the good ones, the bad ones. Hopefully you haven't seen as many bad ones as we have, or he has,
Oh shit.
because he watched this one called Conception. Have I talked to you about this off stream at all?
Oh god, we bringing this one back.
Yeah, we're gonna bring it up. We're gonna bring up the worst of the worst that I can think up off the top of my head. Go for it. Explain conception and concept. Conceptualize conception. Ha ha. That was really. It wasn't even really a joke. It was just
You can,
words played together.
You can go fuck right off the edge of a cliff. I'll explain it.
That'd be electrifying. Can you imagine like over the edge of a cliff having sex? That'd be crazy. That'd be terrifying. God, that'd be very daunting. Is that
All right.
is that an appropriate use of the word?
I suppose.
Okay, so conception.
All right.
Explain it for our friend here and the uneducated viewers we have.
If you've caught one of our earlier podcasts, I have done a breakdown or a run through of the show in particular, but it essentially is guy gets summoned to another world to save it. The way he has to do it, though, is better suited to the story of a hentai than an actual anime. He has to have sex with 12 constellational maidens and produce children with them.
To explore a dungeon.
To explore and conquer a dungeon. And seal the dark.
Just sounds bad. Like, and Andrew's biggest complaint is he's like, you don't even get to see the good parts.
No.
They like go to do it and then they just stop.
No, my biggest complaint is that, one, it doesn't have, the story sucks, and it jumps all over the place. It does not have a concise linear story. Hell, it doesn't even have a good broken story where, yeah, it jumps around, but still explains what the frickin' hell is going on. There are no fight scenes to speak of. There's two. The one in the very first episode, which makes you think it's going to be an action anime, where you're like, okay, it might get better from here. Episode 2, no, fuck. Everything's broken. No, it doesn't make sense anymore.
Were there any gratifying moments of the show? Is there anything that could pull it from the clutches of death that we can talk about as like a good point of anime?
There is one episode that I laughed at, and that's episode 7 or 8.
Okay.
They literally turned it into an episode of The Bachelor.
Okay.
And they make all of the maidens do these stupid, hysterical competitions. That
Are they just fan service competitions, though?
They are fan service competitions, but they also make them just look like total and complete brainless idiots. Which,
I mean, it's probably what they were like meant to be the whole show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it stopped trying to be something other than what it was, it actually turned into a somewhat
So you just like the
entertaining show.
comedy side of it?
Oh yeah, the comedy is pretty on the nose. You can't.
So
miss
we'll
it.
kind of carry that into our next one because that's the only gratifying thing. We'll take that and we'll bring it into the next one. Do you think comedy makes Isekai good? Do you think you have to have it?
Unless you're going for a really fucked up dark world, yeah, comedy will play probably a good portion of the story.
Yeah, he watched all of Conception for the person in chat. Just
Yeah, I did. It's pretty garbage. I would not advise it.
they're horrified. Damn it! I used this.
What?
They're dauntified. Is that a phrase?
Daunted?
They're daunted. No, that doesn't work here.
Not really.
They're perturbed by the fact that you watched over 8 episodes of Conception. There we go. That's a good one. I'm trying to work on my vocabulary. Okay.
Trust me, there was much whiskey involved.
I don't blame you. Now I can't get my hat back on. Okay, there we go. But even in dark shows, so like name an isekai that you've watched that's dark that doesn't have comedy in it. The only ones that are going to pop out to most people are Overlord. It's right off the top, right?
Yeah,
but there
even
was
that
definitely
has
comedy
in there.
Yeah.
But it had a lot of comedy before it started getting darker.
Yeah.
Like as it's gotten darker as a show,
They're still forcing comedy though.
There's forced in comedy. It's not as easily just there.
Yeah. But I can't think of a dark show off the top of my head that didn't have comedy.
Well,
I can't think of an Isekai period because I think it's just like one of those things they try to include it a lot. Can you think of one? You got anything?
That doesn't have comedy?
It's hard, right? Because you can name Grimgar. Grimgar had comedy.
oh yeah.
You can name.
Talking about like the dementia shows.
Well, that's not what we're talking. That is not an isekai. Okay, we're not getting down that road.
That's not an anime. I'm not going.
We're
back
talking
there.
about all the shows where the main character gets transported to another world or trapped in another world. That's what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, then I can't really think of any.
Grimgar Fantasy and Ash had comedy moments though.
Yeah, I did.
So somebody in chat tried to mention that, but I just said that. Like they did have the comedy moments.
Yeah.
There was like you had Ranta. He was a comedic
Comic
character.
relief.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He made funny moments, and they have the very stereotypical like, let's go spy on the girl's bath scene, and then he gets his ass kicked, and it's great. But I can't think of one that's truly like there's no hints of comedy. So I think you kind of got to throw in the comedy just a little bit. You got to have some level of comedic relief because you can't have a show that's too dark.
No, because you'll just turn people away.
Yeah,
'Cause
like
95% of people are not going to sit through watching people get brutally tortured for 14 episodes.
I will for the rest of Promised Neverland though, because that shit looks so good. But I guarantee they're gonna have some type of. I think the relief is the children because they're supposed to be cute, but
yeah, that's.
they're also
work.
gonna get brutally eaten and shit, and it's
Murdered.
It's gonna get wild.
Yeah, no.
That's gonna get wild. But that's not an isekai. But yeah, I can't think of one that they don't at least throw in the comedy. So I think we're gonna kind of build this list of like what it takes to make a good isekai. I think you gotta have some comedy, at least one episode of comedy, and then you isekais where they're all comedy, like Konosuba. Have you watched Konosuba?
Oh god.
Yeah, Megami. Yeah, it's all comedy and it's fucking great. Who doesn't love that show? It's a great isekai.
Explosion.
I don't think it's the best isekai of all time, but it is a great isekai.
It is
It is.
dang good.
So we'll use this as another segue now. What makes Konosuba good outside of the comedy? Obviously, the comedy's great. The characters are great, but it's because they're comedic. What else makes that show enjoyable?
It sort of turns the idea of an isekai on its head is what I super like about it. I don't know if that necessarily makes it great for everybody else,
Yeah.
but I know that that's what makes it enjoyable for me. Is like, yeah, the hero from the other realm is a guy that...
It's a Megamine emote and then explosion.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, what I like about it is it turns the ideas of a basic isekai on its head. It's like, yeah, you have the amazing warrior that's been formally trained by all the greatest masters that her family could afford, basically growing up. Yet
He always talks about Nightmare first.
darkness.
Darkness, whatever. Same thing. Same difference.
But literally, she's supposed to be this amazing knight, and for the most part, she's amazing on defense. It's just the second she tries to switch to offense, she can't hit anything.
This is where you're falling into it, though, is you're coming back to comedy. Because it's funny that happens. It's not cool.
But at the same time, it's the exact opposite of like every other warrior
when you
you'll
said
meet in the isekai.
when you said it's flipping the tropes on its head, I thought you were going to talk about the fact that like it wasn't a great life when he transferred over.
Yeah, no,
you don't
that
get all these
was-
cool
that was a-
powers.
I
He has to live through 3 episodes of doing manual labor, and then he's
Before
like,
he
"Why
can-
am I doing this?"
He has to live through 3 episodes of manual labor before he can even afford to join the Adventurers Guild.
There you go. That one's for you. It's darkness. No, he joined right away, didn't he?
No, he didn't.
I'm pretty sure he joined right away, but the only jobs he got early were like manual labor jobs.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah. Because he didn't have a party, so he couldn't go really kill anything. And then he got Megamine, like, yeah, we can blow shit up. And then she falls asleep. And like, oh.
Oh, wait, no, I remember. They went to the manual labor jobs because the first adventure they tried, all he had was a sword, and Aqua was useless, and so she just kept getting eaten by the frogs, and he'd have to go cut her out.
Yeah.
So what actually makes that a good isekai, outside of the fact that it was comedic? I think something we can pull into a lot of isekais is they had a leveling system. There was like a class and leveling system.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't I went to another world and I had a unique power that nobody else can do. Haha. It was I'm a part of this thing and I can clearly advance. You know,
Yeah.
It wasn't baseline coming in overpowered, which is a fun thing that we see with like that time I got reincarnated as a slime overlord. I don't know, summon Demon Lord, Lock Horizon,
Actually-
SAO. All the main characters are OP,
Actually, no. Slime, he started off as the literal weakest monster.
but he was
anyway.
overpowered at the start.
Only
because he
of
came
his
in-
predator skill.
Not just because of Predator. He was immune to fire. He was immune to cold. He was immune to like physical
Slashing
damage. He was immune to like all these types of damages. That's what really like he could have survived off of just that. But yes, the Predator made him overpowered, but he came with that power.
Yes, but at the same time, compared to a lot of other creatures, even base class adventurers who can use a lot more than just fire and freaking ice magic, he'd be considerably weak without that predator skill.
Yeah, but he had it at the start, so it doesn't
Yeah.
change that he had it at the start, so he's overpowered.
He didn't even know how to use it at the start.
But he was just given it. Like, he didn't have to earn it or anything.
True.
He just was like,
But he
I'm
also-
really hungry when he was dying and he gains the Predator skill. That's how that works, by the way. So remind me if I'm dying in front of you, just like, remember, ask for everything. Man, I'm cold. Ah, it's hot. Just say it all, you know? What are you doing?
I don't know.
There's a microphone on there, sir.
My bad.
You're turning it away. It's set up in a directional position, so it picks up from here forward.
Ah.
It has 4 different settings, so it picks up different directions and stuff. Don't mess with Andrew. You get
Okay.
beat up, okay? So do you think that can help make a good isekai? If there's like a leveling and a class system.
I do, because it keeps it grounded somewhat in our reality, basically through D&D games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because it's something that most people, if they've even heard about it, can go like, okay, that somewhat makes sense.
You can relate to it because
Yeah.
of video games, right? You're like,
Yeah.
oh, I understand what's happening.
Yeah.
Opinions. Sorry, you just haven't been chatting a lot, so I'm trying to direct the
You guys
conversation
keep
your way.
saying all the stuff that I want to say.
Then say stuff over us. Punch us in the face. It's okay. We'd
Yeah.
probably get a lot more views if something like that happened in the middle of the podcast. You just see her just whap.
Punch him in the face.
I
It's
have manners. Sorry.
That used to be one of my gaming names, Manners.
manners.
Yeah, but I did man in all capitals, so it was like Manners. Because I played a guy who was like nicknamed Mantheon because he was like the manliest character, and yeah, it was just All right. Anyways, so Konosuba was enjoyable though. It had comedy. It had the leveling system. Those are the only two like major tropes it had, right? That really fit across all isekai.
Yeah.
I like their one creepy episode that they have.
In the haunted house. Yeah.
Yeah, especially with the dolls. But that does incorporate a lot of humor.
Yeah. I think that's just like the thing of the show. You gotta, it's Konosuba. It's just meant to be funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was meant to be a spoof on all the isekais that had come out to that point because this was during the time when like every season there was like 6 new shows and you're like, wow, they're in another world again. That's when you got crap like In Another World with My Smartphone and
I thought that was just last year, wasn't it?
In Another World with My Smartphone.
Yeah.
I think it came out like 2 years ago. I think it's been out for a little bit. I'll look it up right now. How about that?
Do us
The
a
power of
favor.
the interwebs, sir.
You know, for all the ability to just search shit up on our phone, not many of us know the fucking answer to anything anymore.
You don't really have to when you have it like right at your fingertips.
Yeah, but at the same time, how many times do you actually see people pick
It
up their
aired
phone
from
and
July
search
to
it right
September of
after they
last
get
year.
Curious about it.
It aired from July to September of last year.
Just July to okay, so it did come out last year.
I thought it was
wasn't
out the year
crazy.
before. That's crazy.
No,
Wait. That's 2017. I
Okay,
forget,
so
we're in
2 years.
2019.
Yeah,
I
we're in
keep forgetting that
2019
time
now.
passes.
Okay, so it is 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, you were right. Okay, so I was a little bit off.
Okay.
I just kept feeling like it hadn't been that long ago, has it? It's like apparently it has.
So I'm gonna bring this full circle towards the end, not yet, but we're gonna get to something that I want to talk about, which I think is pretty interesting. We'll get there.
Okay.
I'm gonna throw it in your heads now, though. Think about it. Digimon. It is the first isekai. They went to another world with digital monsters. Just think about it. Keep that in your mind. We're gonna get back to it.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? If you think about it, it's the only real original one.
Well,
Yu Yu Hakusho is kind of in that realm too.
one of the first ones that was aired on American television. I'll at least say that much.
Yeah, Digimon's old, bro.
Yeah, no,
It's been out for a while.
It,
But anyway, we're gonna get to that towards the end. I wanna see how that all relates to all of this, okay?
all right.
Because Digimon was like everyone liked it, right? It was one of those like fun shows. The issue was it was battling with Pokemon, but anyways. So coming off of our leveling system, we now have the overpowered protagonist, which happens a lot in our shows, right? You have Overlord.
Yeah.
I just went through the whole list. Overlord, Slime, How to Summon a Demon Lord, Log Horizon, SAO. Grimgar doesn't really count because he's not overpowered. What else do you have? Name some. Shield Hero, he's going to be overpowered, I think. But he doesn't come in overpowered, so I respect that.
Yeah.
Um,
Plus, he has to work twice as hard as everybody.
There
What do you
was another one, but it wasn't really going into a fantasy world. It was a fantasy world going into the human world. It had the.
what are you talking about? I'm
it had
curious. Hold on.
Lucifer.
Oh,
Hold on.
no, okay.
Let me pull up what its name was. It was on Netflix for a while. It was kind of like the opposite of that.
It's not Recreators, unfortunately. No?
No.
You should watch Recreators.
That would be a reverse isekai.
Yeah, it is a reverse isekai. We'll get there. Don't worry. It's all involved
It's
in this
nice.
discussion. You said it had Lucifer in it. Is it an anime?
It is
Oh,
anime.
the devil is a part-timer.
Yes.
Reverse
Oh.
isekai.
Yeah.
He lives
Okay,
in
okay.
The
McDonald's.
the
Whack
magical
Donald's, okay? Get it right, McDonald's.
Mac
And he wants to
Donald.
take over the world by becoming the leader of the
manager of McDonald's.
And then he's
See,
like he's
that
fighting
one-
his mortal enemy.
No,
but,
he's
like,
definitely overpowered.
Yeah.
He's the devil.
Yeah.
He breaks everybody. He wrecks an angel just because he pissed him off by kidnapping one of his employees.
Yeah. That show was funny as fuck. I remember watching that. I thought it was just like a fun little, like, this is funny, you know? It wasn't... I don't know if I'd watch another season of it, to be honest. I might, actually. Because I want to see if he becomes a manager and really...
Well, like the first episode, I thought the entire anime was gonna
Gonna
be
be-
epic and like really interesting, and then they go into the human world, and after that, I was like, this is a little bit pathetic.
But it's funny as hell.
It is funny.
It is super funny.
And it incorporates a lot of humor too.
Yeah. I think that's like really like... I think why humor shows are just taken better is because everyone enjoys comedy. You know what I mean? Not everybody enjoys super gory shows. Not everybody enjoys like over-the-top action. But everyone enjoys a good comedy.
Yeah.
It's really rare to find somebody who's like, I don't want to watch that, you know? You tell them that's funny, they're like, oh, I want to see me, I want to laugh too. You know, they want to get the jokes. So I think that's a big part of it. But the main character is definitely overpowered in that. He's the fucking devil.
Yeah.
And in that same light, we had all the ones I just mentioned. Do you think those two systems can go hand in hand, the leveling and an overpowered protagonist? Or do you think they have to be separate? Think of shows that would incorporate both. So Log Horizon, super overpowered protagonist, right? You haven't watched it, I'm sorry.
More
The main-
overpowered protagonist.
The main character is just like the highest level in the game.
Well,
And he's a super genius, so he's like the best, like... Have you played any
strategist?
MMOs? Like, played with a bunch of people and done stuff? No?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, so he's like the ultimate raid leader. You're in a raid and he's like, this creature's gonna use this ability in 0.2 seconds, you're gonna do this, like he tells everybody what to do and that's what makes him overpowered. But there's a very clear leveling system. Like they spend like 3 or 4 episodes of leveling the lower level people of the group, and I think that was good, and Log Horizon was super enjoyable. It definitely wasn't an action-based one though.
No. It's more, how do you even put that one?
Politics? That was a political...
Yeah, political slash, it had more than just that.
It was a lot. I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain the show, because it did have, like, definitely had your action scenes, but it was very rare to get a really good action scene. But then it was, like, just them really, like, getting accustomed to living in a life, you know, that was different than their own.
Yeah. Like,
Which, interestingly enough, okay, out of all the ones that we've named, only a handful of them have multiple people from another world.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you have SAO and you have Log Horizon, because those are games.
Yeah.
Overlord, as far as we know, Ainz is the only one there. Slime... You get once in a while he'll run into somebody, but he's not like hanging out with other people from another world.
Yeah.
How Not Summon a Demon Lord, he's the only one.
That we know of.
Shield Hero, the one that we're watching, he has the other 4 with him or whatever, but like it's not as common for them to like be with other people from another world. Konosuba, it's just the main character. I guess you can consider Aqua from another world. He's not the
first, and remember the other hero, the guy whose sword he steals, he's technically also from the other world.
Is he? I forgot about that. Yeah, that's right. But it's not common that they're interacting with them, right? So it's interesting to see the difference in dynamics of like a massive group in another world and then individuals running around doing their own thing.
Yeah.
What do you think is better between the two?
Well, it depends on if you want a more focused story or if you want a broad, wide encompassing story.
SAO's pretty focused.
Yes, but also it literally just dampers down to like, what, 5, 6 total characters that you really focus on the whole time?
Yeah, but the whole world is nothing but people from another world. So, my thing on this would be something that we were talking about earlier, and I think it'll really change, like, the way people do things, right? We talked about this off camera, where we were talking about, like, an SAO, people kill each other.
Yeah.
Because when you're put in that, like, severe of a situation, things change. In Log Horizon, you don't see that because death isn't permanent.
Yeah.
But in shows, when you have a lot of people from, like, the same world together, they tend to turn on each other.
Yeah.
Like, we just watched Shield Hero. The other 3 turned on him almost immediately. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy to see that, like, when people are put in the same positions, they're going to turn on who they see as the weakest link or whatever makes them the most advantageous, you know? And that's fucking wild.
That's the one that I kind of tend to favorite, though, because the idea of people kind of turning on people, that is a little bit more interesting than the one person being there and everybody's all like, let's follow him.
I respect that.
It's just a little bit more interesting because it can be more
You can
ironic.
You can also add way more depth to it. Because I think that's the most realistic situation. You know, we talked about this, I think, when we did the other Isekai conversation we had last time you were here, in that, like, High School of the Dead would be a really cool fantasy world to live in, because it's not the zombies that are the issue, it's the other people that you're going to run into. Like, and we talked, like, The Walking Dead, it's all these, like, life or death scenarios, and when people are thrown in, they're so quick to turn on each other. And I think it's just kind of fun to watch as, like, a character study, just to see, you know? Just to test, to see what society would do. And understand, like, most of this is just people writing shit, but we all know it's the realistic side of it, right?
Yeah.
What's that famous experiment they did at that college where, like, they that inmates and sheriffs or whatever, and the sheriffs just, like, are actually beating the shit out of the inmates and stuff? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, it's wild that people, like, when they're put in positions of power or life and death situations, are willing to do so much more.
Yeah.
It's fucking wild. Think about the Nazi party, man. Just saying. That's pretty much how they all worked.
How did we go from anime to Nazis?
Because it's all related. Have you not watched Hellsing Ultimate?
Oh, shit! I did think of another one.
What's up?
Another isekai. Saga of Tanya the Evil.
Never watched it.
It's literally another isekai. Dude dies, gets sent to another world by God because the man refuses to acknowledge the existence of God.
That sounds familiar. I know the Japanese name of it. What the fuck is it? I'm gonna look it up right now. Hold on, I have it on my it's on my plan to watch.
You said Nazis.
It's with that little fucking girl and like the Nazi fucking World War II, and they have like magic and shit. Yeah, this dude gets fucking turned into this little girl and is in Nazi Germany just killing people. Like it's
oh my gosh.
It's fucking crazy, dude. Everyone like for a little while they're making jokes saying that she was like best girl of the season. I was like, nah, bitch is scary, dude. Like,
on top of the fact that it's a guy's
like
soul in a chick's body.
It's like Sojo Senki or something like that. I know what it is. Holy shit. I know what you're talking. I forgot what the English name was. Yeah, Yojo Senki. Here it is. This fucking little psycho bitch.
That looks familiar.
Yeah, it was really big. It came out last year, like towards the end of last year.
It was.
And,
it was good. I
it was at the
enjoyed it.
beginning of last year.
I enjoyed that one.
That shit's wild. I haven't watched it, but I've heard and like seen clips. I'm like, this bitch is crazy.
Oh,
What
she's
the
nuts. Like, normal human beings do not think anything like this.
So, was
chick.
he like murderous before he died, or was he just
no,
fucking?
he was just so straight lazy. And I wouldn't even call him straight. He'd probably be what I consider lawful evil.
Yeah.
He's fully willing to screw people over, but only as long as he can legally do it. Like, if the law allows him to do so, he'll do it.
So what turns him into this murderous little bitch? I understand he takes over her body or whatever, but like, what makes him? What's the switch?
He tries. Basically, what keeps happening is every position he gets to, he's trying to get himself as far away from action and violence as possible. Trying to get to one of those, comfy upper position jobs where you never see the battlefield or anything.
So is that why he's killing everything to get there?
Yeah. On top of the fact that God is literally keeps throwing him into these dangerous situations. He's like, you will acknowledge my existence or I will wipe you out. And so he keeps just throwing him into these whacked out situations that will most likely result in his death. And so he just keeps snapping his fingers like, oh, you think that was bad? Here's another one because you still won't acknowledge me.
That sounds fun. Honestly, like,
Yeah.
I've been wanting to watch it. It was rated pretty well, and I've heard good things about it. And she's a psycho bitch. So it makes it even more exciting. Because, like, the clips I've seen seem really fucking cool. Like, there's some level of magic in this version of the World War II. And, like, she's flying through the fucking sky just, like, blowing people up with her gun. And you're just like, this is fucking wild. I was kind of down for it, but there's so much anime to watch.
Dude.
All I do is watch anime, and I'm still behind.
I would advise watching it because they set it up perfectly for a second season.
Okay.
And I'm loving it. I wish there was another season.
I'm sure there will be. You can probably look it up. I'll look it up later when we get done. See if there's going to be a second season.
But yeah, this is easily one of my favorite evil anime characters that I've ran into.
The only two that are in Isekai that we know of really are Ainz and that chick.
And again, more turned evil by their circumstances than actually just...
Yeah, Ainz isn't even trying to be evil. He can't not be evil.
Yeah,
because he's a lich.
He's a fucking elder lich.
Which I think is a really cool concept. So, I'm going to take your point a second ago. I want to keep trying to segue into more conversation because we've been really bad about getting long episodes. So I'm trying to get it going.
Okay.
So let's segue a little bit. Do you think divine intervention is important to a good isekai? In Overlord, you can take what happens to him as divine intervention. He's always being forced to do what his character would do, right? I think that's a level of it. In Konosuba, you have the gods who decide whether they get to go to the other world or not. And the one you talked about, gods actively nah, you're gonna keep doing this crazy shit, whatever. What's another one? Are there any that you can think of with divine intervention?
In Sword Art Online, the creator SAO is kind of the
Akihiro?
He sort of acts
divine.
like God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
He can
He acts as
change
the god.
everything in the game if he
Yeah.
wants
Yeah, and then
to.
Kirito's like, God mode, activate! And you're just like, shut the... Oh my god.
Yeah.
Biggest ass pull.
My favorite line, Hacks mode, activate!
Yeah. You watched that with us, right? The SAO in 5 minutes or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, hacks mode, on! And you're just like, oh my god, dude. Because that's what he did, twice.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
Wait, what? Stop!
Are there any others that you can think of? How not summon a Demon Lord? No. Slime? No. Overlord we kind of discussed, possibly, kind of.
Yeah.
What are some other ones? Log Horizon? We don't know.
We do see a being at the very end of season 2 that could be sort of what?
A divine being, but we don't know enough, which
Yeah.
I think is interesting. I think there's a possibility that there's a divine intervention.
The only problem is that the creator's currently serving 10 to 15?
Yeah, he's in prison. Unfortunate. Grimgar definitely doesn't have divine intervention. Unless you count his little thief thing as a divine intervention, but I don't think that is.
No, because his master even mentioned that
the other
other thieves
yeah.
have seen it.
So I don't think so. What else have we been talking about? In Another World of the Smartphone, there you go, you have divine intervention.
Yeah, that is a freaking balls ton of freaking divine intervention.
Okay, so we've all watched this. ReZero, do you consider the witch being divine intervention?
She is stupidly overpowered if she ain't God.
Because it's assumed that she brought him there.
Yeah. And all of his abilities that he does have seem to be connected to her powers.
Yeah, because he's pride.
That probably is divine intervention in a way.
That's about as close as you're going to get in that world, I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because even all the spirits, like, hate her. I think she's, like, the ultimate evil. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, the equivalent of, like, a devil. I can see that, for sure.
So evil that she ain't even really evil. How does that work?
What? She's super evil.
At the same time, though, she's not trying to destroy the world. More, she's trying to control it through every little piece and part.
She's
She's
more
evil.
like,
She's more like Doctor Doom evil than...
Dr. Doom's pretty evil.
Yeah, but at the same time, he has good intentions behind being evil.
She doesn't.
A lot of evil people, just because they don't want to destroy the world doesn't mean they're not evil. They live in that world too, so...
Yeah.
The
would
Joker doesn't
kind
want
of
to blow up the
suck
world.
If you
No,
destroy
it just wants
your
to show
own
everybody
world.
that you can become crazy in a day.
You can think of, like, pretty much any instance, and while there's a lot of anti-villains out there, like, Mr. Freeze is a really good example. He didn't want to be evil. He's just trying to do what he has to do to save his wife. That's his whole backstory, you know?
Yeah.
But there's... Every villain generally has a good intention. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
For the most part. Some of them really just want to watch the world burn, but most of their intentions are, like, something that they see as good. But the witch is not that case.
Well, we have...
Just because she wants to control the world doesn't mean that's not a good intention. Do you want to be brainwashed? No.
No.
She's evil. Don't lie to yourself.
Mm.
Okay, and any other ones? Any other ones? Conception? Is there divine intervention in that? Outside of his dick, apparently. Doesn't he have, like, some fucking divine semen or some shit? Isn't that, like, part of the story?
He's like some sort of chosen one. I know that part.
Ridiculous. Redonkulous.
I don't know how to even explain that part of it.
I'm just saying, man.
It's just stupid. It's such a dumb show. It doesn't make sense.
So that being said, and thinking about the shows that we've enjoyed, do you think divine intervention is generally good or a bad idea?
In most of the Isekai shows that I've seen, it's usually a bad thing.
Well, like, you think it takes away from the show to have it?
Oh, no.
That's more what I meant by it. I'm not... Okay, we all know that Awk was fucking useless, okay?
Absolutely.
She was a horrible choice. But I meant more so, like, in regards to, like, looking at the show from the outside perspective. If a show... Like, two exact same shows existed, one had divine intervention, one didn't, which one would you watch?
Honestly, the one with divine intervention.
Yeah.
There's bound to be hijacks. So many hijacks.
I think it would, like... For me, I think the divine intervention aspect gives a perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? I sound like the fucking critic from Ratatouille right now. This dish lacks perspective. Have him serve me perspective. No, but, like, honestly, like, when you watch Konosuba, it makes you understand more about the world because you see that transitionary phase of him having the interaction with the divine. In Overlord, it makes you understand his character because he's now being his character because of the intervention that's being brought down upon him.
Yeah.
In fucking ReZero, it makes you understand the motivations behind, like, 90% of these characters because we understand what the witch's intentions and goals are.
Yeah.
Right? So I think it's actually really, not important, but it's very helpful to have it. Because we still enjoyed the shit out of slime, but there's no divine intervention in that.
At least none that we directly
Unless the Great
see.
Sage is actually God.
Which, in that case, hacks mode on all times.
Okay, I can respect that. Sorry. So somebody in chat had said, there's definitely cases to each side, but if I had two exact same shows, I'd probably watch the one with divine intervention more. And this is going to be something I'm going to bring up as our next subject now, because I had a bunch of stuff in mind. We're just getting into it all.
Oh, okay.
So, in chat they said, the lack of divine intervention can be really fun because it adds a level of intrigue, right? There's this question that you don't know the answer to. And in shows like Konosuba, they tell you, like, hey, you're going to another world to kill some shit. Oh, okay, like, you understand what's going on.
Smite the
ReZero, you don't really know what's going on for a while. Even now, you're still kind of like,
It could be this, it could be that.
Yeah, it could be a couple of things, but instead of giving all the perspective up front, they're like, hey, here's a bunch of mystery, figure it out, And in the situation they listed in chat is Grimgar and the Fantasy of Ash and Fire, which you still need to watch.
Yeah, I do.
It's really good, and you guys are now playing it, okay? You gotta learn about the world a little bit.
Yeah.
Brandon and Janae only watched like 15 minutes of the first episode, so it's okay. Or did they finish it? They might have finished it.
I might have finished the first
Either way.
episode.
But having that level and that air of mystery is really enjoyable. And our buddy Brandon, who's been on the podcast before, I've been talking to him about this because he's like very entry-level anime right now.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, you have two types of shows out there. You have a show that's going to tell you a bunch of shit up front and give you all these expletives and all this information, just like, here's the world, you're here, this power exists, blah, 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 blah. And you're just like, holy shit, it's a lot of information.
Will of D.
Yeah, and sometimes you get information overload. And then there's the shows like The Promised Neverland where you know fucking nothing going into it. And it's amazing because now you're part of the mystery. You're like, I wonder what's happening. How's this going to happen? What's this going to do? Da-da-da-da-da, you know? So it adds to it. But there's good and bad examples of each show, like as there is with anything, you know what I mean? There's always an exception.
Yeah.
And some shows that, like, don't tell you something, don't ever tell you anything, so then you're just lost the whole time. But then there's shows like Promised Neverland where we're learning shit. In one episode, we like, oh, they live on a farm. Oh, shit. You know, like, you're learning, like, oh, fuck, now I'm really interested. And then there's shows that just tell you too much information up front, like, what's a good example? What's a really good example? I'm trying to think of one where it's just like almost information overload. I think it's harder to find those because a lot of people realize how bad that is now, but they used to do it a lot. We just started it, but Radiant, they kind of did give you a shit ton of information
right out.
Like the first episode was like 11 minutes of expletive, and then you got some story in there, and you're just like, man, that was kind of a lot, and it kind of like bogs you down a little bit. But then there's shows where like they just tell you enough to get you going through each episode, and I don't know.
Then we
there's
had
always like
then we had
the
shows like
balance.
Chika
Actually,
that
Bleach. That does
Bleach?
give you a little bit of information overload. When
over the first few episodes though, but there's shows like
Yeah.
Radiant, like 11 minutes of your 20-minute episode is dedicated to just telling me about the show. It's like, And at least in Bleach, I'm not trying to defend Bleach. I know that it has its flaws, but at least in Bleach, they tried to make it humorous, right? Because you have Rukia's shitty
yeah.
fucking bunny
Drawings.
drawings. Yeah.
I thought
And-
they were so cute though.
And while it was definitely a little more spread out than something that just gives you like a fucking 11-minute dialogue, it's, oh, this is now relevant, and she tells you about it. Like the Precipice World, Wacko Mundo, and, you know, Soul Society, and this is how they're all connected or whatever.
yeah.
And this is what a hollow is, and shows the hole and everything, but at least they gave you some humor in that. But there's shows, I couldn't think of one off the top of my head that was like a really, really good example. I think Radiant kind of worked, but there's shows that like it's just too much information. You're like, bro, stop.
Then there are other ones that do the exact opposite. They don't give you any freaking
Chika.
Chika. Yes. Chika.
The
Literally-
Coffin Princess, we watched, 4 episodes, and we knew one detail about the show. One. We didn't know how magic worked, we didn't know what a Saboteur was, we didn't know what these... Like, they told you nothing the whole time. The
All
only
we
thing you
knew-
learn is that the main character is the old villain's daughter. That's all you know.
Yeah.
But then you find out it might not be the daughter, and it's just like, you're giving me questions that I don't care about. How does the magic work? Why do they have to use guns to use magic?
Also, what the hell is a saboteur in this world?
Yeah. We still don't know the answer
And
to that
what
question.
the hell does it have to do with their family name?
No idea.
Yeah, it's like,
But they recognize them because of their ability? I don't know. It was wild. It was wild. Okay, so, back to my point that I was going to bring up. Separate from the divine intervention aspect, do you think a good isekai leaves you with more questions or more answers at the start?
you should have just as many questions as you answer.
More questions? Yeah, I totally agree. And I think, like, Slime didn't answer anything. You know what I mean? You learned some things over the first few episodes, but it wasn't like, here's the world you're in, here's how names work, there's demon lords. You actually, like, had to, like, how does this work? Oh, names give them powers, because the Great Sage would tell you every couple episodes something, and,
Yeah.
like, that was enjoyable. What's another good example of, like, Grimgar? Grimgar's another good example.
Mhm.
You learn as you go with the show. You're like, wait, how does that work? What does this do? How does that go?
The way it should go is you should always get some answers
Yeah.
every single episode. Shouldn't have
You
all
want to know
of
the
them
perfect,
answered at
you
one
want to
time.
know the perfect formula for a show? Lost. You ever watched Lost?
I don't know.
You get just
Yeah,
enough
so-
answers to
no,
give
no.
you more questions.
So here's the formula for Lost, okay? 20 questions, first episode, 1 answer. Show ends with another huge question. Next episode, 2 answers, 22 questions. And it's just like, they do nothing but give you more questions. But it worked. I finished Lost in like 2 months. Me and my buddy binged that show. And that's a lot. That's like 8 seasons.
Each
and-
like an hour long.
And we were in college
episode.
and working, you know what I mean? It's like, we didn't have that much time to watch it.
Damn.
But I'm not saying Lost is a good show. Let me get that very clear, because the ending was horrible. Everyone agrees. If you don't know the ending, I'm not going to spoil it, but it's just not good. But a show that makes you want to know what happens next is way more enjoyable than a show where you're like, I know what's going to happen next, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. You guys didn't talk, so I was like, am I just talking out of my ass? Just tell me.
Well,
I do that anyway, I know. I understand. 90% of the shit that comes out of my mouth is ass talk. Okay? I understand.
you'd swear he was a politician if you didn't know him.
That's why they call me an ass face. I just talk shit all day. Come on. Ha ha ha. Yeah? That wasn't really a pun. Come on. That was... Alright. She hates puns. So I try to, like, throw in some small ones here and there.
The pun master.
And in our Saturday night game, her man's has a demon that he summons that just tells puns all day. So it's really great.
Real shit
I had a lot of
jokes.
fun with that, dude.
Gosh.
I gotta start writing them down and build that list for him. But anyways, back on the anime subject. So we've come to a consensus. Comedy equals good. Divine Intervention is fun. It's not necessary, but if you had your choice, you'd probably watch the one with Divine Intervention. Having more questions is always good. Some type of power scaling, because you end up with shows a lot of times like... I haven't watched it, but I assume in Another World my smartphone doesn't really have, like, you're a level 12 or something like that. It's just...
Overpowered from the
character,
start and
yeah.
gets more overpowered as we go.
And there's no real power scaling in that show, right? So there has to be some level of a scale and to determine how overpowered every character is. And Slime does a really good job with that, you know? You have, like, your levels of names and monsters and all that. And
By episode 7, he's figured out how to bring modern technology to this world that's basically in the Middle Ages, just with magic.
yeah, it's pretty impressive.
He literally makes a gun.
In Slime?
No, in Another World with your smartphone.
Oh, yeah. No, I haven't watched it, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But, okay, so what else makes a good isekai? Outside of the obvious shit, like, it has to have an okay plot, and the world has to be somewhat enjoyable, you know what I mean? Outside of the basic shit.
Does not need to have the same storyline plot as a porno.
Well, I guess Domestic Girlfriend's off the table. Talked to you about that show yet?
No.
Okay, so we were going through all the anime for this season, and we talked about it last podcast. For anybody who is listening from last episode, but the plot of this story: high school kid falls in love with his teacher. Okay, you know, a lot of high school guys have crushes on their teacher, whatever. And his buddies invite him to go out one night, and he's like, "Fuck it, you know, I'm never gonna be able to get with her. You know, she's a teacher, da 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 da, whatever." And then he runs into this chick when they're out at a mixer. And she's like, "You want to leave and sneak out with me?" And he's like, "Sure, I guess." And he goes with her, and then she, like, takes him to her house, and she's like, "You want to fuck?" And he's like, "Sure, I guess, because, you know, I'll get over my teacher." So he fucks her, and then he wakes up the next day, and he goes home, and his dad's like, "I'm getting remarried." And he's like, "What? Why didn't you tell me sooner?" And he invites the chick over, and she brings her 2 daughters, which happen to be the teacher and the girl that he slept with.
Oh.
And then they live in the same house, like, a week later. And that's the whole plot for the show. So,
Wow.
that's a porno. That's the stepsister and all that shit, you know? Like, that's what that is. But it's not an isekai, so luckily, you know, it doesn't fall into that category. I still think it's, like, the funniest plot for a story for the season. That is probably my favorite one.
I'm still dying about the fact that
Could you imagine how horribly awkward that would be? Okay, let's say, I don't know the story between you and Ronnie that much, right? But let's just say you and Ronnie decided to hook up, you know, instead of, like, dating right away. Let's say you guys just hook up one night. You come home, your parents getting divorced, but then your mom has a new boyfriend and it's Ron's dad, and you guys, like, live together. You know how awkward that would be? Like, how do you live with that?
I would live with my friend.
I don't blame you. Like, you can't, like, how do you walk around the house the same after that, you know? Like,
You don't. That would be so weird.
he was like, I guarantee there's gonna be an episode when they, like, accidentally walk into the shower together or something. I guarantee it's gonna be trash.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna watch it because it was hilarious. Because I was with the dude. The whole time he was like, this is so awkward. What do I do? Like, he doesn't know how to talk to her. And she's like, just pretend like it didn't happen. He's like, how do you mean pretend like it didn't happen? We fucked and now we're brother and sister. Like, this is horrible. Oh, by the way, I'm in love with your older sister. What? Yeah, it's pretty fucking wild. That's a porno, for sure. They can make that a hentai. Nobody would be like, oh, I wonder what that's about. You know. Anyway, back to the isekai. All right, here's a good, like, general question. Do you prefer the game worlds or the fantasy worlds more? While the game worlds are fantasy worlds, but, like, there have been, you know, Slime isn't a game, it's just another world.
Yeah.
Log Horizon, Sword Art Online, Overlord,
Well,
Shield Hero games.
Overlord went from being a game to straight
But
up
it was
being
a
another
it was a
world.
game world, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, what do you think has the more initial draw? Like, if you were to see a first episode, main character gets transplanted to X world, would you rather he goes like some random fantasy world or a game that he knows or is a part of?
Probably a random fantasy world.
Why do you say that?
Well, I play game fantasy worlds. It's just something that's a little bit more new and more unique than all of these different game worlds.
I think I'm with you on a different world rather than a game, because what usually happens is when the dude comes from the game, he already knows everything, and that's kind of boring.
Yeah.
And again, it kind of circles back to the whole more questions or more answers, and I'd rather have more questions than answers.
Yeah.
Like in Shield Hero, while it is a game, we have a lot of questions because the main character that we're following
doesn't know shit
doesn't know
about
the game.
world.
So that's kind of fun, you know. But having more questions off the start, I definitely think is the way to go. We've kind of circled back to that like 7 times now.
It does make for a better show, though. You want an adventure. You don't want an instruction manual.
I understand. I am with you, my friend. But then sometimes it's fun. Like Log Horizon, it was fun to see them adapt to it. So it's like, we could try to build a perfect isekai, but then it could always be better if we changed one thing and got the good version of that thing, you know?
There's always the off chance that you make something shit by trying to go through new ground, too. It's a gamble every way you go.
So, overpowered protagonist or underpowered protagonist? What's more fun?
Underpowered.
Personally, I enjoy
Name some underpowered protagonists. We have Subaru from ReZero. He's completely
super
useless.
underpowered.
He just gets a million lives, which is in its own respect overpowered, but he can't do anything.
Yeah.
He gets his ass beat every time he tries to fight.
He tried fighting an apprentice knight, got wrecked in 5 seconds.
He was a full-on knight.
The other guy.
The purple hair guy?
Yeah.
With the spirits? No, he's definitely full-on knight.
Oh, wait, no, he was a full-on knight.
Yeah.
Who was the guy he tried to fight? Tried to fight street thugs, was doing
and then he gets stabbed and he's like, oh, that hurts. I'm dead.
Restart.
Was .hack an isekai? I don't know. So I've mentioned this a couple times. I don't know if I've said it on stream, but I've definitely talked to you about it. I want to watch .hack, but I have no idea where to start. Because there's like 19 of them. It's like Fate. It's like, where the fuck do you start?
Yeah, I've seen that too.
Yeah, have you watched any hack though? Because I remember watching it, like, I'd catch it on like Toonami or like Adult Swim late at night, you know? And I'm like, oh, this show looks really cool, but I have no idea what it was about. I don't know if they were trapped in the world. I don't know if they were just getting online or it was just a game. It was definitely a game, but I didn't know if they were trapped.
As far as I could tell, they weren't trapped, but certain players would occasionally just disappear inside the game and go into a coma in the real world. And so most of the story revolved around figuring out what the hell that was about.
Interesting.
Like, apparently the game world created a consciousness of its own that would rule the inner workings.
The video games of .hack, I've played one of them, super fun. And like I said, every time I've seen clips or episodes, I'm like, wow, this looks really fun. But again, every time I look online, it's like different every time I read it. I don't know where to start. And I want some like logical place to start. I can't just like the Monogatari series. Alright. So here's how this show works, okay? This is a show that I tried to watch. I've gotten 3 seasons in, and I think I did okay. So the release order is... This is like their numerical order is the release order, okay? So it goes like 3, 5, 6, 4, 8, 2, 1, 9. That was the order they released it. But then everyone gives you shit if you watch them in chronological order. But why would I not watch them in chronological order? Because that just sounds complicated and confusing to do that. And that's how I feel like .hack and Fate are. Like, none of them, you don't know where the pieces fit and shit. Like,
the problem is that every one of the 3 story paths you can take in Fate all ruin the storylines
for the other ones.
For the other ones,
it's pretty shit.
So wherever you start, you're going to spoil the story in another part.
I think
of it
I got
for
lucky
yourself.
and I started with Fate Zero, which was technically like the prequel. Yeah. But then I didn't know where to go after that. Because then there's like all these different side branching stories, and there's like 5 non-canon shows, but then there's like 3 canon shows, but they're different timelines and different plots, and you're just like, huh? What?
I tried to watch one of them really late at night while I was doing homework.
Not a good idea.
I fell asleep.
I was about to say, I started with Fate Zero too because I didn't even know about the Fate series until it came onto Netflix, which the first one on Netflix was Fate Zero. And so I actually started with Fate Zero as well. I didn't know where to go for that either until somebody told me, okay, well, try Fate Stay Night.
That's the one I watched.
Yeah,
But you have to watch Unlimited Blade Works because the original just isn't as good or whatever.
Yeah.
And like,
But I didn't know about the
Yeah.
original Fate Stay Night. I only knew about Unlimited Blade Works,
Yeah.
so I started with Unlimited Blade
which is
Works
where you should
right
start.
after.
From what everyone tells me, you just skip the original Fate Stay Night and just watch Blade Works because it's
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
It's a newer art style, right? I think that's all it is.
A little
it's
bit
just
updated,
newer.
yeah.
That's the only difference. All right, so we're gonna go completely off subject. Fuck talking about strictly isekais now. Let's talk about shows that could possibly be isekais. You're gonna love this one, Inuyasha.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it could like very possibly be one.
Yeah. It depends on like how concise you want to make the phrase isekai. Isekai literally just translates to another world. So Inuyasha is definitely an isekai, but at the same time, the general populace like factoid version of it now is, oh,
Technically, it's the past, not another world.
no.
It's
What?
another world to her though.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Is the past not another world? Do you want to talk about the time-space continuum?
Okay, alright.
Do you want to get into some reborn logic here and start talking about how time works? Because we can. But no, so the like generally like accepted factoid version of the phrase isekai is like trapped. They're stuck there for whatever purpose. That's generally it. But it just means another world. So Inuyasha definitely fucking counts. Fucking Yu-Gi-Oh counts. Okay, you got the Shadow Realm, bitches. Like, it gets pretty wild. Hold on, what's this? What's this one they sent this time? What is that? Oh, you guys know that meme where it's like it's like a picture of a brain and then it keeps getting like more like
Complex.
yeah. It's like thinking outside the box is the last one and your shit's just like, oh. That's what they did with their fucking emotes. Big brain play is there, right there. So what else? We talked about Digimon. I think they could, depending on which series you watch, they could go back and forth between the two worlds.
Yeah.
Inuyasha, for sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because the world she's living in, like modern day,
Yeah.
there's no demons.
No one's gonna argue the fact that a demon world, even if it was in the past, is different. You know what I mean? If we hopped in a well tonight and we ended up in the Black Age, okay? And
The Dark Ages?
Dark Age, Black Age, it's the Black Plague. They all fucking died, okay? Everyone died. That's the point I'm making. Anyways, and it turns out that dragons and goblins and all that shit were real. That's another world, bro.
Yeah.
It's so far from our concept of reality that it would appear to be another world.
They don't even speak the same language, so.
Oh shit! Yeah, no, we wouldn't be communicating for fuck. Not even a little bit.
I just turned into fucking Hodor from Game of Thrones.
Hodor.
I just say my name all day. It would probably work. What else? What else is like loosely could be definitely considered an isekai? Bleach.
Yu Yu Hakusho?
Yu Yu Hakusho. Yeah, I said that a little bit earlier. He's in the. It's kind of in the same thought of like Dragon Ball because it's just the afterlife version. He's going to like the underworld and the. You know what I mean? He's going to hell and heaven.
Yeah.
Those are the two places he's going. So, again, it's very different from our concept, so it could be considered another world. But again, it all depends on how we want to... Let's define
Another
isekai.
world.
Could you use in a sentence, please? What is the root of origin? Base language? Like, something, give me something here. Spirited Away, for sure. Spirited Away is definitely
Yeah.
isekai.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The spirit world.
Almost all the Ghibli ones are falling into that category almost. Not all of them. Like Howl's Moving Castle, no.
Porco Rosso, no.
Princess Mononoke, no.
No.
But Totoro, kind of, because she enters like the magical realm
Yeah.
side of it.
Sort
You know what I mean?
of. Kind of.
Kind of, yeah. It's one of those weird ones. Okay, so let's try to define isekai. Okay, rather than two words, another world. What defines it?
I guess the best way to describe it would be not your world. Not anything you're used to
But
seeing.
then Recreators isn't an isekai.
No, it'd be a reverse isekai. Because this
But
character's
is that an
coming
isekai?
to a world that they've never seen or heard of.
Would you consider that an isekai? Would you consider Devil's a part-timer an isekai? Well, I guess for him it'd be an isekai,
It'd
but
be-
for us it's not. Does that make sense?
It'd be a reverse isekai. It'd be the character's another world adventure.
It's a complicated thought process right now. I imagine us like if we were all stoners sitting here right now, we'd be like, man, but like, what if at the end of space is your birth? Like,
Oh my god.
I know so many stoners like that, dude. It's not even that far of a thought process.
You're 5 bags in at that point. Shit.
I actually had a conversation with someone one time, and his older sister was stoned, and she was a part of this, and we were like 14, and we were talking about it, and she was like, honestly, think about it. What if at the end of space is like you just being born, you know? like you just come out your mom's vagina again and you're reborn. Like, I was like, what is this theory supposed to be? Is it like the end of space is the end of time, so then you loop back? Like, I don't... How?
Technically, the end of space, according to science, would be the beginning of all time.
But we don't even know how big space is. We're going to get into some weird subjects here in a moment.
Consistently expanding.
The observable universe is 300 million light years or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's observable. What does that even... How do they even dictate that? What determines those numbers?
The farthest they've seen and can see.
But we can't see that far.
No, but...
Even with the biggest telescopes, what they did is they're like, oh, that star there is probably this far away. That's what they did. They took some math formulas, and I'm sure it makes sense mathematically, but conceptually, like, how do you even, like, process that thought?
I don't know that much math. I don't math.
I think none of us math.
This one maths.
Kind of.
Statistic math, not calculus.
Or conceptual physics.
Would that even be conceptual physics? I
Yeah.
think that would be more theoretical physics.
And
at that
theoretical. It's a mix. It's both. All right, we're getting really off subject. Isekai. What defines an isekai, ladies and gentlemen? Are we sticking with not your world? Not your plane? Is that a better way to put it?
Not your plane of existence?
Not
Maybe it's
your...
like not your timeline, too.
Technically, that could be an
But then in
overall
Inuyasha, the old timeline is the real timeline. There's only one timeline.
But she's constantly changing it and affecting it as she's in that timeline.
Literally, she makes multiple objects of power disappear from the timeline entirely.
Yeah.
But how do you... But doesn't her timeline change because of it? So she's affecting her timeline.
Indirectly, but yes.
Yeah,
So how do you
kinda.
define it? We must dig deeper.
You're making me use parts of my brain I'm not awake
I enjoy
for.
these kinds of thoughts, okay? This is like... I used to be a stoner, so this is what I used to think about all the time. Because, like, I do this and just listen to, like, lo-fi and just vibe out, and I'm like, I wonder. And just chill. 3 hours pass, I should go to bed. And then I go to bed. That was me when I smoked.
I didn't even need to smoke to do that. I just stared at the ceiling and thought about things.
I can't do that because then I start trying to count the dots. And then I lose count and get pissed.
I used to make, like, little pictures.
I think everyone did. You're able to, like, picture things and, yeah.
Faces,
Yeah.
objects.
There's a word for that. I forgot. I'm not going to be able to tell you what it is, but there's a word for it. Like making faces out of things that don't have faces.
Yeah.
There's a term for it. Isekais. All right. I'm trying to come up with a way to put it. Not your dot in the time-space continuum. Is that okay? Is that good enough? Because it's very specific.
True, yeah.
You're not in your space in that timeline.
Technically,
But that one single point, you're not there.
technically, your world is only the observable world you've
All
lived
right,
through.
we're done with this fucking I'm walking away. We're never going to get anywhere with this conversation.
No.
We've gone too deep. We went full isekai.
We've gone to the base. We have nothing left to give.
I really like... It's too hard to define, unfortunately. Because so many things fall into it and so many things don't.
Yeah. And a lot of things sort of fit the description, but a lot of things don't as well.
I give up. We're not going to define it.
Yeah,
It's not doable.
Not currently.
Not in an elegant way.
Not in any way that... Definitely not with small words.
Sure. I'll take that. It's a very daunting task.
Foreboding.
Come on, man. I'm trying to use my enhanced vernacular today, okay?
It's a very foreboding
Don't make me
task.
get over here rustling in my jimmies. All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about isekai related? Any shows?
Oh,
anything?
gosh.
We got you to watch Shield Hero. What do you think about it so far?
It was pretty interesting. I do like how out of the 3 characters, or 4 characters, one of them ends up being what they consider a dud, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's going to end up being one of the strongest ones anyways.
Of course, he's the main character of the show.
It's normal.
My
for
thought that I was talking to him is I think his is going to have like more like adaptive
Versatility.
ability. Yeah, versatility. You know what I mean? He's going to have, he already has magic, and I don't think we've seen any of the other guys use magic. We haven't seen him do anything, but he can already use magic. I don't know if you got that, but when he enhanced the plants or whatever with the shield, like, that's cool.
Yeah.
And it's fucking versatile. Imagine being able to switch your shield to different things in a situation. Like, you can make yourself block any attack. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder how fast that menuing is. You know, like how fast it does. But I guarantee that's what's going to happen. Like, during his big fights, he's going to be switching shields.
It looked,
fucking
from what I
times.
saw, it looked like all he had to do was concentrate and call out the name of the shield he wanted.
Yeah.
So if he gets good at that, just being able to concentrate off the backside of his head, just switch wall shield, just.
Yeah, because, like, imagine, like, you switch it to a buckler, a really lightweight fucking leather piece of fucking nothing on your arm, and then, like, mid-punch, you switch that shit with the full velocity of your arm into, like, a tower shield, just smack somebody in the fucking face. That's hurting, bro. I don't hurt.
Ow?
Yeah.
Also, you can turn a shield into an offensive item, though.
Yeah.
Think, like, Captain America.
Yeah.
He throws his shield at people.
But he can't remove his shield.
That's true.
You remember, like, that's one of the big things? But he could smack the shit out of people. That would hurt.
Even Cap's
No matter how much it
secondary.
hurts.
Remember
He could get
Cap's
it sharpened
secondary
on the
shield?
side.
Yeah.
Blade shield? Just. Okay, this works.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm excited to see where he's going to go. It's a very simple concept for an isekai,
Yeah.
but it's being done well, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because I'd rather it's something like that than having sex to clear a dungeon with this new cool idea and just done terribly. Like, that's not... You know what I mean? I'd rather watch the generic story of the hero just becoming powerful and overcoming his demons and shit, you know?
Yeah.
I'd rather watch that any day. Loved ReZero, but it got really bad towards the end. I'd rather watch a show that's just normal and done right than really unique and really cool and then just falls off really hard. Any
Well,
day.
the only problem with really unique is that you don't know how to end it, because you can't end it the same as every other one.
Because then it's not unique.
Then it's not unique. But at the same time, if you make it so unique that you can't think up an ending that works for that uniqueness, then you are basically just might as well throw it in the corner.
Darling in the Bronx. Have you watched that? You know what I'm
Giant
talking about?
robot waifus.
So, back in the day, late 90s, early 2000s, there was a show called Neon Genesis Evangelion. One of the most popular anime of all time. I think it's like number 5 overall, still to this day. Everyone loved it. It was like the birth of mecha, so you got Gundam and everything off of that. And the concept of the story is like, we have to fight aliens using alien machinery, and only certain young people can activate them, you know? Simple concept. And it was just done really well. People loved it. But then Darling in the Franxx just came out last year, and everyone was like, oh my god, the show is really fucking good. Although, the thing that I think would have just thrown me off right away is the way they pilot them is it's groups of 2 people.
Has to
And
be a female
the
or
chick
male.
is sitting like this, controlling the front end of it, and the dude's behind her, and she has pads out of her ass, and he's controlling the mech with these controls out of her ass.
Oh my
So
god.
it's like, that threw me off alone off the start, so I'm glad I didn't get into it. But then, the show was like really good for like the first like 8 episodes, but then the ending was literally copy-pasted Neon Genesis Evangelion to that. So everyone got pissed because they just copied it, and then they like made it worse. They took the same theory, but then at the very like last end, the main chick turns into this giant fucking robot in the sky, and I mean like enormous, bigger than a planet, and then helps them fight shit, and you're just like, what is happening? The show people got so mad about Darling in the Franxx. It was really rough. It's fine.
Okay.
He doesn't care. I don't care about his opinion. I care. Don't hate me. Okay, I'm done with that. Why did I even bring that up? Where did that even... I'm so bad. I go on rants, bro. It happens.
I think we were trying to go for anime that had a unique concept and just blew it out their ass in the last 10.
Darling in the Franxx. That's
Yeah.
where it was. Okay, yeah.
You could just kill off all the characters.
I have nothing wrong with that. You know the
I
only show to
actually-
do something like that went really well? Berserk.
Oh gosh.
Have you watched the original
Oh
Berserk?
my
I
gosh.
know Ron loves the new one, but have you watched the original?
Why does he
I
love the
haven't.
new one?
I don't know.
Why does he
okay,
love it?
his argument is that it continues the story.
Okay, yeah, I'll. That has 1 point out of the 10 possible, though.
That's probably why he showed me the new one first, because he knew
It's
it.
so bad, though.
It is. I don't like
The CGI is so bad. The animation.
It bothers me so much.
Everyone makes fun of it. Like, if you ever watch like an anime YouTuber video, they'd be like, well, at least this show didn't have horrible animation. It'll like clip to a clip of Berserk and then go back and you're just like, oh god, they're just talking so much shit about it.
I think they almost talk more shit about that than they do about SAO.
Yeah, definitely. I think SAO like had a peak where people just hated it. And now everyone's like, it was enjoyable, it just had its flaws, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's where everyone sits now. definitely had its flaws.
Berserk is definitely still on the chopping
And this is
block.
why I know Janae and Brandon are still like entry-level anime fans. Well, what are you talking about? It's really good. It makes a lot of sense. It doesn't if you just like sit down and think.
Think about
Yeah,
it.
and a lot of flaws. You watch that, right?
Yeah.
You
Like
spend-
the helmet alone, it's gonna send microwaves through your brain. So just put tinfoil in there and pull their heads out. It blocks the radiation. Like what?
Oh.
It's a simple fix. Or just unplug the fucking system.
no oh wait, no.
Oh, it had a battery pack. That's right.
Battery pack.
But you could just use an EMP or something. You know what I mean? Over fucking charge it or something. Like
Yeah.
there's so many like basic line concepts that could be done with just the helmet. But then when you're in the game, I'm a loner. I don't make friends with anyone.
Ends up
And then he's
having the
friends with
largest-
everyone. I don't know. It kills me.
The only even I talked about this earlier in I think I mentioned it in an earlier episode. The only time you ever see Kirito's loner tendencies is during the movie Ordinal Scale, which literally just branches season 2 and season 3.
Oh.
Only time you even see a hint of his loner tendencies. Like everybody's playing augmented reality games. Everybody, even Asuna, is playing augmented reality, and he's like, "Nah, I'm good, guys. I think I'll just stick to my VR games."
I don't know how people can go back to. They were trapped in a game for a while, and then they just go back to playing games like
2.5
it's nothing.
years.
I would be done. I would never touch a game.
You
ever
think
again.
that though, but like addiction's a real thing. Think about like fucking cigarette smokers. You know that they know it's killing them actively, and they're like, it's fun though. Like that's their whole argument. I like it.
I only
number of
started
times-
it to look cool.
The number of times I've showed Brandon pictures of lungs after like 5 years of smoking.
I want to get him on one of those apps. They have those apps now that like they tell you day by day what kind of like issues you're gonna have. Like you're gonna get through this today, but you've saved $12 with the amount you smoke, and it's only 3 more days until it feels better or whatever. It's that kind of thing. I think that might help him, but he doesn't want to try the gum because he thinks it tastes like shit. So
What
he's gonna
about
try
the
patches.
vape?
I don't know. I vaped for a while, but it's not because I smoked cigarettes. I had really bad eating habits. I was scared.
Vaping has
So
7
vaping helped
times
me
the
eat because
nicotine.
it tastes good. It's super delicious. So I was like,
Vaping
Let's-
has 7 times the nicotine, though.
no, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
You can get
You can
juice without
change it.
nicotine.
You can change the nicotine in it.
That
too.
whole argument is the dumbest shit because they literally there's 5 different levels. There's 0, there's 5 milliliters up to 100, which is disgusting. But I never used ones with nicotine. There's no nicotine in them.
Well, here's the funny thing. This is what my biological dad did to my stepmom, and if she decides to watch this, she might be a little bit mad. But he
What are
would
the
go-
chances?
If it has my name in it, she'd probably look at it.
This is
Well,
She's
we don't
very
like-
supportive. Even if I tell her about it, she will try and find it to watch
Okay.
it.
That's on you.
But
You're welcome.
Yeah,
Just
get
keep in
funny.
mind what you're getting into. That's all. You're free to say what you want.
So my dad, they were both smokers, so they switched to vaping because it was healthier in a way. And my dad was the one who would go to this store because they live on an island, so all the stores are kind of far away. So he was the one that would drive to the island, and he would go get the vape juice for it. And he would go up to the cashier and be like, "Hey, can you switch the label on this to make it look like it's the same nicotine level? I just want to help my wife quit smoking." And so they
That's
would
smart,
change
though.
it. And then, but she didn't know that that's what he was doing, so she just thought she was still smoking
That's
the
smart,
same
though.
stuff. Yeah, so her brain was kind of tricked into thinking, oh, this is the same stuff.
That's smart as shit, actually.
Yeah.
We should do that for Brandon.
My brother thought it was the most coolest thing that my dad has ever done in his entire life.
It's pretty up. That's smart, is what that is. Because it
Yeah.
tricks your brain into thinking that you're still smoking, but it's not. So your body gets off of the.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's super smart.
And then he finally got her onto no nicotine at all, so she thought she was still on nicotine. And then I think he told her that there was no nicotine in it, and that's when she realized, I don't need to smoke this anymore.
Yeah.
And she's been smoke-free for a good 2 or 3 years.
That's the way to do it. We're gonna do
Yeah.
that. Saving up. I don't remember when Brandon's birthday is, but maybe we'll do it for his
We
birthday.
gonna gaslight Brandon?
We'll get everybody in on it. You know what I mean? I guarantee we get everybody in on it without telling him. He doesn't listen to these, so we can talk about it. Planning ahead for the future, ladies and gentlemen. It's pretty smart.
Yeah.
All right.
Just gonna gaslight,
So-
man.
You said if there was an isekai, right? You prefer the ones with people because they're more likely to turn on each other. Okay. Now, I'm putting you on the spot here. If we got transferred into an isekai as a group, but you can only take 2 of the people from our group, who are you taking?
Only 2 of the people from our group? From our extended friend group or from our immediate group?
Our D&D group. I know you gotta say Ron. It's okay.
As of now,
okay, I get
I
it.
don't know.
Oh! okay, I'm curious.
as of right now,
He's pretty smart, though.
I feel like I'd have to choose you because you have the most, like, medieval skills. You blacksmith, and you know wood shit. You got it all, bro. You're in there like swimwear.
you and Janae probably.
Why Janae?
Because Janae, I know well enough, and we've already been through the rough patch of disagreeing with everything each other
But
says.
Janae's gonna die so fast.
Maybe not. Yeah, her
She would
alcohol-
last. Okay,
her
I'm not like,
alcohol is
Corinne's
dark.
barely better, but like honestly, like Janae, I think is like physically the least, like, inept is the opposite. Inept means bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she is the most physically inept person of our group by far. She just learned to be able to do a push-up.
Damn.
She can't run. She doesn't like. She's not physically active in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying. Think about it. I get the whole friend thing. I get that, but you're in fucking Grimgar. I wouldn't want Janae on my team. It's just not happening.
I was mainly going off trustworthy.
I feel like in that situation, like Grimgar especially, like I feel like I can trust people a little bit more.
In Grimgar, yes, because everybody is just
we succeed and suffer together.
Yeah. In Grimgar, that's fine. But in a world more like The Walking Dead, or even
Definitely not Janae. I'm sorry, like it's not happening.
I think
I'd take you two. Honestly, love Chris to death, but he can't run.
You get it, Kurt, especially not Kurt.
I love Brandon, but he has too much reliance on nicotine, and he's too like irritable.
Yeah.
Right. Janae's cool, but she's gonna die. Like it's just gonna happen. Who else is in our group? Kavada, same thing as Chris. They don't run.
Ron has probably the best survival skills that I know, out of the group.
Survival doesn't... Okay, so he has survival skills, but he's very emotional.
Oh yeah,
I'm just going to let you know that right now, and he's not very quiet.
I know.
So, have you watched Made in Abyss? No, I got you to watch it. So I think Ron would suffer from the issue that Reg suffers from, where he may have these abilities, but he's not quick enough on his feet mentally, or he wouldn't be able to handle the pressure of what's happening mentally. Think about, okay, so there's a really fucked up scene. This is super spoilers, but you should watch Made in Abyss. It's really good. I think you like it too. There's a scene in Made in Abyss where the main chick, she's very physically weak, but she's extremely smart. She's extremely good on her feet. She's very like intelligent, but she's a like 11-year-old girl. She can only do so much, and she's with a cyborg who can do pretty much anything. And they're very opposite mentally. And she breaks her arm because she gets poisoned, and she's like, "You got to cut off my arm, or I'm gonna die."
No, she makes him break it, and then
Yeah. So he breaks her arm, and he's just like crying and suffering the whole time. And he's almost taking too long. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't want that person in the situation. I'd want the person who I know is gonna be able to like think on their feet and do that kind of thing.
I was about to say, because if you would have said out of extended friend group,
That shit gets really dark. Like, he's like sawing through her arm with a dull knife and shit, and like you're just hearing it, and she's crying, and like, oh my god, it's
actually,
fucking.
I think she's passed out.
She
by that
passes
point.
out at some point, yeah. But like, it is fucking
He's the one
wild,
crying
bro.
and bawling at that point.
You're watching these children do this, and you're like, oh my
God.
Like,
Yeah, for stuff that like that, you need emotionally stable people.
Yeah. If we were talking extended friend group, I'd probably take Eric.
Okay.
Because he is stable under pressure,
Yeah.
on top of the fact he has the survival skills.
And he's physically fit.
And he's physically fit, and he knows how to fight hand to hand. So, for that, I'd take him.
Okay.
Unfortunately, out of extended friend group, I can't think of anybody else right off the top of my head.
I think I'm taking you two.
Yeah.
And I know you just said emotionally stable, but I think if we were in this world, you wouldn't need no SSRIs and shit. You get to be the mental fucking psychotic person you really are underneath.
Well, I'm actually getting off of my meds and I'm doing fine.
Yeah.
So
Well, you're gonna snap
like,
one day.
there's a bit of
But if we're in the
irritability.
Walking Dead world, I feel like you're gonna be the one who snaps though and has no problem killing people for us. That's why I'd bring you. Like,
Let's be
Andrew and I would probably still be pretty hesitant in that situation, but I feel like you'd just be the one to snap. You'd be like the Michonne of the group. You watch Walking Dead?
Yes,
Yeah,
I have.
you'd be the Michonne of the group, just walking around killing bitches without any fucking remorse. And Andrew's our fucking Smith and shit, and then I'm there. I don't get a choice. So that's how that works. But I think I'm a well-rounded individual, you know? I'm not amazing at anything, but
I know enough to be dangerous.
I've watched enough movies. I can come up with something.
I've dealt with some just really shitty stuff in life. So,
Yeah.
When it comes to trust, I don't even know if I would bring people I trust because I know their downfall.
Yeah.
Like,
If it was purely trust, I still think honestly, I think it'd be you two. I haven't known you that long, but I feel like I can trust you. But I feel like Brandon is. I don't think Brandon's. I feel like this is gonna be shitty. We're talking about a friend group. Now I feel so bad. But like, I love Brandon, but again, he's very emotional, and I feel like in the situation he would make the wrong decision.
Easily,
and I couldn't trust him enough.
Easily charged.
Yeah. And then I feel like Janae would break down again. Like I need people who I know in that situation to do what need to get done.
Emotionally wise, Janae is stable. More the physical aspects would be a detriment in her case.
I don't know, man.
Do you think she could kill somebody though?
No.
That's my thing. I think you could kill somebody in the right situation in that world.
Easily.
I'm pretty sure you could kill somebody. I see it in your eyes, okay? And then I know that, like, I feel like if I was in that situation, I could do it. So that's why I know that this would be a good group. And the only issue or drawback of this group would be that we don't have anybody with, like, extensive medical background when we have 2 or 3 people in our group who do. Yeah. You have Brandon, who's a certified EMT, and you have Kavada, who's a nurse, Yeah. So it's like you got to pick and choose your choices, right?
And Chris knows...
You are? See? Boom! Perfect fucking choice right here.
Chris also has some basic medical knowledge.
Yeah.
But also, there's the other catch. He would probably be stationary for most of the time. It's not that he really has any other major deficits other than the fact that he likes to throw shade at people.
Chris would be the guy to get us killed. Him and Brandon would he'd just get us killed. He'd talk shit to the wrong person. I'm like, well, that's it.
We're dead.
This is how it would go.
Like, other than that, I don't think that Chris would be too much of a detriment if we could find a way for him to...
My other thing is I know for a fact Chris doesn't have any, like, skills. Right? He has some knowledge, but Chris can't build anything. He doesn't have basic construction skills. You and I do. We got that covered, Yeah. And, again, you have all that blacksmithing and extra shit that's just more. You bring that, like... That's such a key point to, like, otherworldly shit. If we're talking zombies, maybe less important. But if we were to go to, like, Grimgar and he can be a blacksmith, super fucking important, Mm-hmm. Or Sword Art Online or whatever, Picture your fantasy world. You'd be a lot more useful because you're like, I can make that, And we'd be good. So.
A lot of this stuff, like all of the skills that people should learn, it's really not that hard to learn. You just need the time to go through it.
Yeah.
Blacksmithing is stupid easy to learn. Now, truth be told,
it's also easy to fuck up.
It's dangerous.
Yeah, it is.
It's dangerous, and you can fuck it up easily. But relatively, the simple skills are that simple, really easy to learn.
Yeah.
Making a knife, really basic.
Some people made it out of like clamshells.
Yeah.
They're really sharp. I don't know how durable they are though.
Probably very minimal use. But...
Hell, flintstone spears and arrows are still freaking used by many native tribes and forests and other modernized society areas.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I actually made my own flint stones and little arrows.
See, this is why I choose you. You guys are smart. I don't have the survival stuff.
Arrow out of stuff too.
I can fish really well. I have mechanical knowledge, so if we combined, we could make some shit, And then I learn stuff pretty quick and I can cook. So those are my skills in life.
Can't eat fish.
The issue with this group would be constitution. We would between the two of us, you'd be doing all right, but the two of us would be suffering. It'd be rough.
I'd be okay.
And then after I get out of when my asthma attacks happen, like after a certain amount of time, I can easily deal with it. Like I can go running.
You just kind of adjust to it.
Yeah. But right after everything is done, then I feel like shit.
Yeah, there's like that adrenaline dump feel where you just lose all of the fucking... Yeah, I got you.
Have you ever heard of runner's high?
Yeah.
It's a gorgeous
Never
thing.
had it.
That's what my body goes through with asthma. Like, at first it's like I'm suffering a little bit, and then as I keep pushing myself, then I'm just like, okay, I got this.
I got
can
you.
Keep going.
Yeah, I've never had that. I don't run. The furthest I've ever ran is 2 miles, and I suffered the whole time.
I actually used to help, it was called Land Sharks at French Elementary. I actually used to help the kids learn how to run. Like, I was part of the coach, with the teachers, but I wasn't really a coach.
I got you.
Oh, so you actually did do land sharks?
Yeah.
My little sister did that.
I didn't do it, but I helped them run and learn how to run. I was their support. I ran beside them. I saw another one, kind of struggling. I'd go run over to them and then, kind of cheer them on. You're doing great. Come on. Try to beat me. And I'd run a little slower to try to make them try to beat me.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
So I've made my choices. You've made your choices. Who are you picking?
Out of all the people, Okay.
I know I put you on the spot. See, we have no obligation to somebody, so we don't feel bad not saying anyone in particular.
I don't really care about obligation. I'm a very loyal person, but like if you're asking me about like logically who would I bring,
Yeah.
I would bring the least emotional and not as loud people because that just makes sense.
What do you mean? You said loud? What do you mean by loud?
Oh my gosh.
Like Andrew laugh loud or just not light on their feet loud? What do you mean by loud?
Like stompy kind of people where like you can tell their mood because they're stomping around.
So Janae and Brandon are off your list, I'm telling you now.
Okay.
I lived with them.
They weren't really a part of my list.
Okay.
Okay. Mentally stable.
Actually, in another world, you'd sort of want somebody that's already sort of on the way to being unhinged a little bit, because they think outside the box usually.
Well,
that is why she's my choice.
Yeah.
I'm
She's gonna kill everyone for us.
unhinged. But
Not what I'm not talking
In a
full eating sand and
That's not what I meant.
pissing on your bedspread.
that's not what I meant either. Most people aren't like that.
No.
I hope no one in our group's like that.
But you have to think, out of our group, people, like friends, if they were to go to a whole new world, how would they handle that mentally? Ronnie would probably be devastated because now he's away from his, like, everything he knows.
That's
He
true.
needs to be in the familiar. He would not do well.
I know for a fact me and you would be hyped.
I'd be excited.
I'd be so excited.
I'm in a place that hasn't been fully explored.
Because I genuinely have, like, no connections to my family.
Yeah,
like, I
me
have my
too.
goddaughter, and that's it.
I'd
You
be
can't-
sad about not being able to see my family, but I'm
At the
assuming-
same time, I'm killing dragons and have magic powers, bitch! Like... Okay, sorry, so continue.
Yeah, so I wouldn't really have connections to people either. Like, I can easily get up and leave if I need to. I'll be a little bit sad, but, like...
Let me throw in, I think Chris would be pretty hyped, too. And this one's gonna be really shitty for the reasoning, but it's because he's away from Kavada. He'd be so happy, dude. Tell me I'm wrong. You don't know him super well enough, but tell me I'm wrong, Andrew. Tell me I'm wrong. I love the dude. I love you, Chris, if you're listening. And Kavada, I love you guys, but you know you hate each other. Like,
But they're also that love-hate each other. They love to hate on each other.
they are like the extremes on every spectrum, right?
Yeah.
They hate the hardest and they love the hardest, and you're just like, ugh.
I don't want to be...
But genuinely, I think Chris would be pretty stoked. I'm just saying. Anyways, I'm sorry. Please continue your thought process.
Okay, so I'd probably bring you.
Cool. I'm excited.
We've had a good, like, few talks. Like,
We're vibing. I feel
Yeah.
it.
I feel like I could trust you. I feel like you would be okay if you went to a whole new world, of course. There's also the strength that you have that I would probably need. Kind of. It's the second person. Sorry, not trying to be rude or anything.
Think about it. So you have Chris, Kavada. You haven't really interacted with Kavada a lot. You have Brandon, Janae, Andrew, myself, and Ron. You haven't met Zuri, but she was at one point a part of the group.
Yeah,
But I wouldn't have picked Zuri anyway. I
Yeah.
love her to death, but
And you haven't met Uriah, Jeremias, or...
they
Eric.
haven't shown up in forever. So I would.
Yeah.
That's the extended group.
Yeah.
If I was to extend the group, probably Eric. I wouldn't pick Uriah though. Uriah's cool, but I wouldn't pick him.
His tendency to narcoleptically fall asleep at random moments sort of...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's emotional too.
He is, but he's also very grounded as well.
Sometimes.
More so than...
I've seen like. Anyways, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. We're giving you the options. I get sidetracked a
Yeah,
lot.
I'm thinking it through.
All right, take your time. This is no rush. But we're probably going to end the stream right after this one because we've been at a good hour and a half. So I think it's a good
Yeah.
time. And
We're also running out of material.
yeah, we're not even on anime. We're kind of like in a what if isekai, but that's really it.
Yeah, we've gone fully from anime to off-branching subjects very rapidly.
Yeah. I think my decision would be. I don't really know you too well. We haven't really
We
hung out
haven't
much.
hung out that much, so I
Yeah.
don't blame you.
The only things you really need to know about Andrew, especially for the sake of what we're doing, he's fucking crazy. But he's not kill people crazy. He's just like, he's just gonna do some stupid shit. I don't mean like you're gonna get us killed, but you're the guy who's like, what's a good example? We're in Grimgar, like, let's go kill black spots. We can totally do it. No, Andrew, we can't. Stop. I feel like you'd be that guy. I feel like you'd be like high on the fact that we're in another world. I feel like you'd be that guy. But he also comes with like probably the most like, I think like construction and life skill wise, like non-survival, but like construction skill wise, it's me, him, and Brandon are at the highest because Chris has none. I don't know about Ron. I've never seen him do anything, but like me and Brandon have very basic construction skills, and then you have your fucking blacksmithing and construction skills.
I've built entire houses from the ground up.
So the main difference between the two of us would be I'm more mechanical, you're more blacksmithing, and then Brandon's more like medical. So that's where your like big deal there lies. And he's also Mr. Full Plate. He probably already like he would come prepared. He'd be like, we're going to another world? And he'd show up in full plate with a big-ass sword. And he's like, let's fuck shit up. Because that's just who he is.
Well, Ronnie does have some very good, like, skills that he's learned. Like, he's short, but he can pick up stuff. Like,
no, I know that. I know for a fact that Ron is strong.
That's never been a question in my mind.
Nobody's doubting that one for sure.
The man picked me up with one arm. I know he's strong.
Motivation easily, and that's where his emotionalness kind of comes in. So I probably would pick you, because I don't really see you as emotional. I think you're a bit stable when it comes to that. Like, you're stable enough that if that kind of situation did happen, you wouldn't be traumatized.
Probably not.
I've actually never seen you upset.
I've never seen him upset either, although...
It takes quite a bit. Plus, you have to press the right button. Everybody has that one button.
Yeah, everybody has that. I think you've seen somebody yell at me, but I haven't been upset. Like, that night me and Brandon got into it, I wasn't upset. I was just like, bro, what the fuck? Like, I don't get upset either. Like, it's very certain things that trigger me, too. I have my buttons. You have your buttons, but, like... I think out of the whole group, me and you were probably the like most like. You're definitely like okay. I am like, if we're talking like on a 1 to 10 like happy scale, I'm chilling at a 6 all the time. I'm just chilling, you know. I'm not sad. I'm not, you know. I'm doing all right. You're at like a 9 all the time, like all the time. You're just happy-go-lucky. He fucking went to Vegas for a week and he came back. He was like, I missed you, motherfuckers. I love you all so much. And it's been so long. And I'm like, Andrew, it's been a week. Calm down.
Me and Eric did so freaking much in those 3 days, though.
You know the worst part about this, though? I'm thinking about it. I think you're going to be the one who's the most likely to get fucked over. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if we're thinking about Shield Hero, I think you'd be the guy. Yeah, you'd be the guy to get taken advantage of. Unfortunately, not out of our party. You know what I mean? But like, somebody would be like, "Oh, he's very gullible" or something. I don't think that you're a gullible person. I just think you're too trusting. It's not a bad thing, but in that situation, it would be. You know?
Yeah, I can't really disagree with you in that because I have gotten fucked over by people I've trusted. Yeah. A little bit too much, maybe. Yeah. But
I feel it.
It's happened less often as I've gotten older. But I think that just comes with experience.
But again, I think you two are like my yin and yang in the party if I was to pick. Because I'm okay. I feel like I'm making a lot of assumptions about you, but like you told us what your normal face is like when you're not trying to show emotion, and they're like actual opposites. And I feel like you guys would balance perfectly, and then we'd be chill. It'd be a good time.
Yeah.
But if we had a 3-person party, I feel like things would be so different. Like in the World of Grimgar, the game that we're playing on Saturday nights, like our whole composition would have to be weird. Like, how do we balance that? 3 people? That's an MMO discussion. We need to stop. I'm going to be so off topic in a minute. This was the topic, and then we were like, yeah, you know, oh, there we go. Somewhere over here. But we had a good time. I don't know, we laughed. Good time. Good conversations.
I'd say we haven't gone... We'd somewhat stayed within the grounds of the
Isekai,
topic.
yeah.
But, yes, we have gone away from the main original point.
For sure.
Of distance here.
That being said, we're going to end the podcast there. Ladies and gentlemen, be sure to email us at getsugatalkshow@gmail.com if you have any questions, comments, concerns, shows we want to watch, conversation topics you want us to talk about. Find us on YouTube, Twitch, all that shit's in the link down below on the side. I don't know what it is on what you're watching, Spotify, I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
That being said, you need to get an outro, bro. But we've got the tried and true outro. Go for it.
Explosion!